Welcome, everyone, to our stream tonight. Fellow geeks, hope you're all having a good evening. We're here with another episode of Rime of the Frostgeeks. Tonight, playing with us, we of course have our usual wonderful cast, Em and Chase playing Quill and Haskell, and Ian and Matt playing Moon Eye and Stew Drinker, our incredible Goliath brothers. I guess I don't give Quill and Haskell a nice little title like that. I don't know. I wouldn't say
we don't deserve it, so it's fine.
Yeah, you guys aren't cohesive yet.
Haskell has enough titles.
We are of course playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition by Wizards of the Coast, and we're playing through their module Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden. This is unsponsored but enthusiastic fan content. And lots of the maps and tokens we're using over the course of this series you can find from the Rime of the Frostmaiden bundle over on Roll20. Tonight, however, we aren't going to be leaning too heavily on that bundle or those mechanics because we're doing a little bit of a special episode. We're doing a deep dive into some memories, some past experiences of our very interesting and a little slightly mysterious characters. So we're gonna have a little bit of a story time. So the charms that we normally get from the Chwingas and the useful items and things are not going to be in the chat commands tonight. However, you can still give out hero points and villain points, and the way we're using those this evening is in a very narrative way. So we'll be simplifying rolling, and hero points can be spent for heroes to take narrative control over their story. And villain points can be used in a similar fashion, except of course I will be introducing new hurdles, challenges, making things generally harder and slightly worse for them. So dish out those points as you will. The affirmation bar as well can add a +2 to rolls either way. So that's all staying the same. So feel free to play around with that. Then finally, last little announcement before we get started. We discovered today that we have hit 250 followers here on Twitch. Yay!
Woo-hoo.
So in honor of this surprise milestone, we decided to do a little giveaway of some dice to recognize the faithful followers that we have here and the viewers who come back week after week and come and play with us and are in the chat, and we just love you guys and we love hanging out with you. So we're doing a surprise giveaway with some dice from Metallic Dice Games. So be sure to enter that, and hopefully one of you will win. Well, one of you definitely will win, but hopefully you like what you get. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into our recap from last time so we know how we got here in the first place. So last week we started with Quill having a very intimate, very nefarious conversation with Avarice, a tiefling wizard who works with the Knights of the Black Sword, and more importantly, with Levistus, their now shared master. They agreed to help each other out and become allies, with Quill even going so far as to sign an infernal contract agreeing to such terms. They also discussed what they would want to have happen to the cult now that the leader had been killed at Quill's hands. At breakfast, everyone got up and discovered that Kadrath had been slain, or was dead. The circumstances were mysterious, to say the least. And they nominated Thoob to be the leader, the new leader. Haskell tried to object and point out the flaw in such a nomination, but the cultists appeared to fall in line behind Avarice and then Quill. And eventually everyone got on board and moved on. Before leaving the castle, Moon Eye threatened the new leader, Thoob, to that he would reveal the cult's presence in the town if Thoob did not set the servants down below free. So we'll see what happens with that. Then on the road, they found a bunch of bodies and fought some cold light walkers that at least Haskell and Quill have encountered before. 2 werebears came out of nowhere and saved them. Well, helped save them. I'll give you guys some credit. You did do some really good fighting. And the werebears talked about the plights of their own tribe. They belong to the tribe of Oyamenartok, which is a name we have heard before. Then they carried on to East Haven, where they saw an individual being tied up and burned in the town square. Quill and Haskell attempted to stop the execution, but to no avail, and instead kind of pissed the crowd off instead. Moon Eye and Stew Drinker tore them away from the crowd before things got much worse, at which point a strange halfling approached them named Ronaldo the Magnificent, and he invited them to dinner and to share their stories, which is where we are now. We are in the White Lady Inn, sitting around Ronaldo's regular corner table. There's a roaring fire. Food has been served. Drinks have been consumed. And now Ronaldo is eagerly awaiting to hear your interesting and unique stories. So we will go ahead and start with Stew Drinker. Stew Drinker, do you want to go ahead? We're gonna start off with you out in the wilderness. You're on a hunt on your own, but you've had no luck so far. So do you want to kind of paint us a picture of where you are, what you're doing, what's going through your mind? Where is this in Stew Drinker's life?
All right. All right, Ronaldo. Well, this wasn't very long ago. I was 18. I was hunting, and unfortunately, the day was not very fruitful. I went back to my tribe at Wormdoom Crag, and I could see the disappointment in my mother's face. And so I knew that I needed to catch something, anything, no matter how big or small. And so this is the tale of the person I look up to as my hero. It starts off with me journeying back out, and it was a pretty dark and windy night. I had my hunting gear, I had my harpoon, I had my bag on my back, so that in the event that I got caught out, that I would be able to camp if need be, and hopefully it wouldn't. But I guess maybe because of my determination, I didn't notice that my bag was a little bit heavier that night. And I had reached a point where the frustration was setting in. And maybe I was just a little bit too rough with my gear. I threw down my harpoon. I threw down my bag. And all of a sudden, I heard someone exclaim something from inside.
And we will pan out, fade to black, and go into this scene now. So, Stew Drinker, you've thrown your harpoon, your spear against the bag, and you hear a little yelp from inside. And Kinna, something hard has just struck you, and you've been thrown to the ground as you've hidden away in Stew Drinker's bag.
Ow!
What? Kinna?
Crap. We'll wiggle around. There's movement coming from your pack.
Stew Drinker will untie the bag. What are you doing here? It's not safe.
Surprise.
Kinna, what have I told you about following me out on a hunt?
I'm sorry, Stew Drinker, but I have an idea to help you, and I didn't think that you were going to bring me along if I told you, and because you always say that it's too dangerous, but I just really want to help out.
All right, I guess since you're already out here, what's your idea?
Look at this. Kina will crawl her way out of your pack and then like dive back in head first and pull out this wild looking contraption. Look at this.
Could you tell us what Kinna looks like?
Oh, yes, I would be
and
thrilled.
Matt, if you would like to help fill in details, this is your memory as well.
So, Kinna looks a lot like Stew Drinker, actually, but obviously smaller. She's a Goliath girl, not very old. She's about 7, probably, but she has little braids in her hair, mostly pulled back so they don't get in her face while she is inventing. And yeah, she's just a little girl.
Perfect. I'd say that overall, as far as Goliaths go, Kina, for her age, might be just a little bit small. As such, that sort of amplifies the idea that Stew Drinker is afraid that she might get into trouble if she follows him on a hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Kina, you know you are very much not allowed to be out here. And how did you fill in for yourself back at camp? How are you delaying your parents' inevitable reaction to you being gone?
Oh, well, I obviously told them that I was sick. Not so sick that they would have to check on me, but enough to the point where I was able to make a little self of myself in my bed with pillows and stuff. And I got like a fur to put on the top of my pillow that looked like the same color of my hair. And yeah, I have a little contraption that's basically a bellows that goes in and out and in and out to simulate breathing.
Got a regular Ferris Bueller on our hands here.
Basically.
What contraption have you pulled out of the bag, Kina?
Okay, look. So this part is the tripod, and she'll start pulling like elongating legs. And now see this part here, this makes a whistling sound when the wind hits it. And if we need to make wind hit it, we could do that too. But it looks like a bugle, almost like a big funnel where the air can come in, and then there's like this little narrow thing that makes an elk sound, she hopes, once the air hits it. So what we need to do is we have to put this at like the top of like a cliff or something so that it makes the big sound.
Right, Kina. And you can see that the initial shock and maybe slight irritation at discovering Kina's stowaway plot here has sort of melted into like a little bit of admiration, because these are the sorts of things that Stew Drinker never would be able to think of. And so he like is very gentle as far as like trying to handle anything. Far more gentle than when he wields a weapon. And he says, Kina, I'm sorry, I don't want to break anything.
I'll do it. You've got really big hands, brother.
Okay.
Where's the closest cliff?
You guys are kind of at you're in a bit of a valley, a small valley, because your whole tribe kind of lives up in the mountain range, but you're in a small valley, so you'd have to climb up a little ways to get up to the nearest cliff. But Stew Drinker has carried you this far, so...
But can I get back at the pack? That's a really long walk.
Of course.
Thank you, Stew Drinker.
I'll try to be as gentle as possible.
Oh, you don't have to be too gentle. I'm pretty tough. I'm not really sick. I just told Mom and Dad that I'm sick.
Oh, okay. Good.
So, I have a question for you while we're walking.
Yeah?
You know how Moon Eye left? if you can't get anything on the hunt today, are you gonna leave too?
No, of course not.
Promise?
Yeah, I promise.
Okay.
I would never leave you and mom and dad and the tribe.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That was really stressing me out.
I'm sorry to stress you out.
Mom's just a lot. And if you're not there to take the brunt of it, that's just all on me all the time.
Oh,
And because I love you, obviously.
I love you too, Kina. So,
Okay.
Okay, I'll help in any way I can.
Okay.
But like you said, big hands.
Okay, yep, you're fair. Maybe we could tie a rope around me because the winds are really strong today, and I'm worried they're gonna blow me off the cliff.
Of course.
Okay. Whew.
Stew Drinker will start tying.
Okay, Stew Drinker, go ahead and make a check. Like I said, we're just going to use simple rolling. No one's affirmated, so just go ahead and roll the dice. We'll see how good you do on this part of
It's a 12.
Okay, so yes, you tie the knots according to Kina's instructions, and you feel like they're gonna hold pretty well.
Wow, you need to learn how to do something besides a square knot.
Maybe you can show me when we get back.
There's so many. It's yeah, it'll be great. Okay, so just don't let go. I'm gonna go ahead and set up the apparatus.
All right.
Okay. And Kina will go over and she'll carefully set this up and she'll turn this big funnel thing towards where the wind is blowing to them. And sure enough, it goes through and squeaks out the other side. And it makes like this really terrible, like wailing sound. Like perfect. It's so good.
Well, so that's supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's like an elk call. What's your elk call sound like?
That's
terrible.
I'm sorry.
And thus explains why Stew Drinker has had no luck so far on his hunt.
See, this is why I stuck in, because I knew that you would bring me here to do this.
That's good thinking.
And then once again, the wind picks up and funnels in, and it goes. See, that was perfect.
Why don't we roll to see how successful this thing is in attracting aminals?
Aminals. Okay.
I'll have Matt roll.
Okay.
Okay. This is his memory. It takes quite a while, and the sun's starting to go down and it's getting cold. But after many calls, and Kina, you're probably thinking maybe it might even be close to time to try this somewhere else. You guys see a few reindeer, or I guess elk, start to creep from the tree line down into the valley below.
Dude, you see them right there?
It worked.
Of course it worked. Mood, I always believed in me. You would have never said that it just worked. I'm surprised.
I'm sorry I doubted you.
I'm just kidding. Are you gonna go hunt those, or are we gonna stand here talking all day?
Yeah. Just stay here. Stay safe, okay?
Okay, yeah. I'll make sure the apparatus doesn't blow over.
Okay. And Stew Drinker will make his way back down to where like he had his spear, and he's gonna grab it and slowly try to sneak up on the herd of reindeer.
Okay, go ahead and roll. See how sneaky you are, and you do have 4 hero points at your disposal as well.
Oh, sweet. Okay, that's a 12.
And and you're affirmated, so 14. So you're able to creep down the mountainside. You don't disturb any rocks. You disturb some snow, obviously, but not enough to draw the elk's attention. And you're right down by the tree line now, where they're grazing.
Excellent. As far as targets go, like Stew Drinker will of course try to assess like who would be maybe an older member of the herd, just so for him it's more so a matter of like this reindeer was able to live its life already, and so it's less of a, I guess it's less heartbreaking to him to take this one out.
Okay, go ahead and roll and see how you do. Ooh,
18.
a 20 total. Nice.
Ooh, sweet.
So describe how you successfully get this kill.
Okay, I'd say that Stew Drinker kind of gets really close to the ground and basically is crawling at this point, spear in hand. Every now and then the reindeer, like whilst they're moving, maybe doing a little bit of grazing, when they look up, Stew Drinker just goes completely still, ducks down a little bit. His fairly pale skin at this point kind of blends in with the snow, and then once they look back down, he continues creeping up until he finally gets, I would say within about 10 feet, is when he springs into action and leaps up and tries to thrust at a downward angle, like trying to time it so that he could hit it and also grab onto it with his other arm.
Yeah, you do this precisely. And you hear the cry of the elk as it's stabbed through. And I'm going to spend a villain point because at the same time, you hear a yowl up on the cliffside. And Kina, you see a large crag cat creeping down the rock face toward you.
Kina lets out a piercing scream, just like freezes up.
All right. Hearing that scream, at this point, Stew Drinker doesn't care about the reindeer anymore, doesn't care about elk or just getting food anymore. He just starts running up that valley, up that cliff to Kina as quickly as he can.
All right. Go ahead and roll. See how fast you are. Kina, how are you? You've just frozen in fear.
She's absolutely frozen, and she's like shaking where she's standing, her eyes fixed on this crag cat, and her lips are barely moving. She goes, Stew Drinker, help.
I'm using a hero point because Stew Drinker will use
might.
all the hero points in the world for Kina. How many can I use? Can I use all of them right now? Please.
You can, so with a hero point, instead of a reroll here, you can instead choose to succeed and take narrative control for a short time. So you can succeed at your running fast and you can tell me how you do it.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
Matt was about to leave the stream right here. Never mind, I can't
No one messes with my little sister. I'd say like initially when Stew Drinker was like being very careful in lifting Kina up with her apparatus, he kind of took the long way around. But at this point, seeing that she's in trouble, he is throwing caution to the wind, and he's trying to take the fastest way up the cliff, like just kind of bounding and climbing from rock to rock, handhold to handhold, until he can get close enough to either like dive in front as the crag cat attacks, or be able to dive onto the crag cat.
Okay, so this is pure Goliath parkour here.
Oh, absolutely.
And Stew Drinker's bounding up the cliff. Kina, you can spot him coming out of your peripheral. And this crag cat is right at the ledge, and it leaps out at you. And Stew Drinker just catches it right on the shoulder as you flinch back. And now you, Stew, and this cat are are tangled up, and it wheels on you, teeth bared, claws out, ready to rumble. What do you do?
I'd say at this point it's a matter of like just trying to make sure that it doesn't get a chance to bite at my neck, which I would say Stew Drinker would assume is like its preferred way of dispatching its prey as quickly as possible. But he also has, like, while he's doing that, he's just kind of taking a quick glance to make sure that Kina hasn't already been hurt or anything.
Kina, what are you doing at this point?
She's still standing, just utterly still, staring at the crag cat, and her eyes flicker over to Stew Drinker, and she brings her hands up in front of her and she looks at how badly they're just shaking. I'm okay.
It looks like Stew Drinker might be in trouble in a moment here.
What do we do? Stew!
Kina, grab my spear.
Where? Do I see it?
Why don't you roll? We'll have you roll for this, yeah.
Oh gosh. Come on, little baby muffin roll child cinnamon. Nat 20. Nat 20.
Ooh.
Go, take it.
Is it down below?
I believe he left it. I'm imagining you probably kind of shed your gear as you were running up the cliffside, Stew Drinker, to lighten your load. So it's maybe not all the way down below, but it's down some rocks.
I'll get it. Okay.
You can do it, Kina. I believe in you.
Watch out!
The crag cat lunges at you, Stew Drinker, and slashes with its claw. And why don't you roll and see? I don't want to roll tonight. I'm not rolling tonight. I've just decided. You guys are gonna roll everything.
All right, that's a 13 with the affirmation.
Okay, that's above the 10. So you're able to dodge out of the way, and the claws just glance your arm and draw a little bit of blood, but you step just in the nick of time. However, now you've positioned yourself not quite fully in between Kina and the cat. You're now kind of forming a T. So Kina's down the cliffside a little bit, and you guys are up here on either side.
Okay.
Kina, you're scrambling down the rocks, and you reach the spear. What do you do?
This spear is so much bigger than she is. And she's fallen a little bit. Her little palms are scuffed up from tumbling on these rocks as she's like going down like on her butt and like sliding downwards towards it to keep herself from toppling. And she'll grab it and she'll heave, and she notices she can't pull it well with her hands and climb at the same time, and she's gonna grab her little rope that she still has tied to her, and she's gonna wrap around so that it's like knotted up, and then she's gonna start climbing back up, dragging it behind her.
Okay, why don't you roll?
Okay. 7. She's not making much headway, and she's just struggling, and she'll turn and she'll pull. She's like, Stu, don't die!
If you
I'm
coming!
Like,
you can also spend your hero points in this scene as Kina. You don't have to, but you can.
I'll spend one.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that as she was climbing up, the spear got stuck on like a stump, and she had to slide back down and pull it out. And then she has her arm like wrapped around the rope now, so she has more control over this big spear. And she's climbing with one hand, and it's a little slower than she wants it to be, but at least she's not getting stuck on things now. But she's still making her way upwards.
All right, Stew Drinker, roll to defend one more time as Kina is rushing up the cliffside to get you your weapon.
Right. Oh, that's an 8.
Only an 8. Hero point, or are you gonna take the blow?
Oh, I'm gonna take it. I'd say at this point it's like he's like wrestling with the crag cat, and everything in his mind is just like he's reached a point where he's thinking maybe if Kina can get away, then this will all be okay. If Kina survives, we'll be okay. As the crag cat like slashes into his chest, and he kind of yells out in pain like, "Ugh!" Kina, if I can't run.
No! You said you weren't gonna leave. You have to stay. And she's still just dragging at this thing, and she turns around and she's like on her stomach as she's like reaching the edge of the cliff, and she's reaching down and she's hauling on this rope hand over hand to get this spear up to the top.
So from that failure, Stew Drinker, I'm gonna say, now in present day, you are gonna have a scar from this crag cat, wherever that is, you can decide, but you have that scar still.
Great. He probably like, gestures to it. Like he does have like a bit of furs on it on his chest, but he kind of pulls it down a little bit, and there's just this big gash across his chest.
It's not enough to take you down though, and Kina reaches the top finally with her little hand hefting your spear over, and now you see Hope on the cliffside as your spear is just within reach. Stu, what do you do?
Great. Okay, so whilst wrestling with the crag cat, just kind of trying to get it in a position where I could just have one little instant where I can pull my arm away and grab onto the spear. But before that, he's going to say, Kina, when my hand reaches out, I need you to push with me, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Stu.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
All right,
And
why don't you both roll? See if this works.
Oh yeah, 16.
14 from Kina. Oh,
hero point. Hero point. Absolutely.
So with the hero point used and the success from Kina, what happens next as you guys both push this spear with all your might toward the crag cat?
Okay, so it's like it's in such an awkward position, but with Kina's help, with Kina's distinct knowledge of like leverage and maybe having knowing the anatomy of animals, she's able to position it and push it in a very vital spot, and we see the cat just kind of look desperately around for just 1 second before it falls limp against Stew Drinker, and then Stew Drinker just kind of lets out a sigh of relief and says, "Oh, Kina, you saved me."
And Kina still hasn't even climbed up the top of the cliff yet. She's kind of like there, resting, her forehead pressed against the snow. Is he dead now? Is he gone?
And then after a second, Stew Drinker realizes where Kina is and then runs over real quick to lift her back up and just kind of hug her.
Stu, I hurt my hands. And she'll show you her skinned palm, and then she'll look down at your chest. You're bleeding!
It's okay. It's okay, Kina. Thanks to you.
Are you okay? Are you gonna die?
No. Oh, I'll be fine. We'll be fine.
My apparatus is bad.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect. So I do have one question for you, Kina.
Okay.
How do you like the taste of crag cat?
I don't know. I think it's probably pretty good.
We'll find out together.
Okay. And she's just like crying, like a little kid just gets too overwhelmed. She's just absolutely crying everywhere and holding her little hands up like this because they're all scraped up and bloody.
And after a while, Stu, you're able to calm Kina. You head down the mountain, you collect your one elk, and more importantly, your crag cat. And Kina fashions a nifty little sled for you guys to drag both animals back to camp, and you're able to make it back safely. Kina, as soon as you hit the border of the camp, you see your parents both rush forward and just scoop you up in a huge hug, and your mom's crying and saying, I was so worried. And your father, of course, is there, and he pats you on the shoulder, Stew Drinker, and gives you a nod, and he says, you have brought food and kept Kina safe.
No, it was Kina. Kina was the one who was able to attract and get
It is okay. You do not have to explain. You are a brave warrior. You have earned this. We will have a great feast tonight in your honor.
in Kina's honor. Please. She did so much.
I scrape my palms.
She has earned name tonight.
Really?
Your father nods, and at the feast where they're roasting crag cat, which they don't get to eat very often, and reindeer and everything else, there's a great naming ceremony, and Kina is given the name Cloud Thinker because her head is always in the clouds instead of on the earth around her. And Stu, we'll go back to the inn where you're finishing your story, and you can give the last couple of touches if you like.
So, because of my sister, I'm here to be with friends, be with you, and fight another day. And that's why she's my hero.
That is a good name.
Wow,
It has a ring to it.
I just lost Ronaldo's voice. Oh, the Magnificent. Okay, Rinaldo. That's who it is. For this, I give you a secret of my own. The wizard who burned, he was a member of the Arcane Brotherhood, they say. And if there is one here, you can bet there are more. What powerful magics they are after, one cannot be certain. But I suspect it has to do with that tower that I told you about earlier, the one he killed those adventurers for. And as I said, I happen to know where this is. You have given me great story, so I will give you this secret. And he pulls out a piece of parchment from his vest, kind of draws a crude map, and points out the location of where that hidden tower is, buried in the snow.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
It is what I do. I listen so I can tell. Now, who is next? And his eyes roam the circle until they fall on Quill.
Quill looks like she's been paying half attention to the story. Her eyes still narrowed as she stares at the people around her who she might have once believed to be kind and even maybe exciting and intriguing because they live in such a big city and they must support each other. But she's just bitter because of the experience she's had here so far. And she'll notice that Ronaldo is staring at her. You want my story?
Yes.
It is not so nice a story as Stu's.
I take all stories. Good, bad, ugly.
Well, this is one for your ugly book. And she'll turn around and her elbows rest on the table. Her fingers lace as she places them below her chin and she stares him down. I will tell you the story of when I was going through my coming of age ceremony with the Tiger tribe, yes?
The Tiger tribe. I hear much about this tribe. I would love to hear this story.
And I was young, maybe 13. And then the whole thing like swooshes back, pans away, and it settles on Quill inside of a tent, a headdress being placed upon her, makeup being not the war paint that you see today, but just more simple with like stripes, vaguely reminiscent of like tiger stripes. And she's sitting there as women preen around her and get her all ready for the ceremony. And she smiles up at her mom. Do I look good today for this ceremony?
You look acceptable. And your mother turns away to attend to some other matters. And you see Solrune, your friend. Ian, you can tell us. Ian and M together, you can tell us what Solrune looks like. But you've been friends for many years, and Solrune has been observing and helping out a little bit as preparations have been made this morning.
Solrune is a tiefling also, and hasn't quite got to the aging ceremony yet. So a few months younger, but has always looked up at Quill in a supportive way.
Being only one of a couple of tieflings to have ever been in the tribe, you probably have a close kinship over that, certainly.
You look wonderful today.
I thank you, my friend. My only friend. I am quite excited. My mother says I look only acceptable. What do you think?
You are more than acceptable. You are the greatest I've ever seen at this day.
Thank you. I hope that after today, my mother will look at me with more pride. It is hard being the daughter of the queen.
Oh, it must be nice sometimes.
You would think so. Perhaps the nice times are ahead of me now. And she'll stand up and she'll smooth, and her clothes that are normally so simple are like beaded now and like intricate designs with blues and greens that are like reminiscent of the ocean before it was covered in ice. I think that I am ready now.
Slayan slips in behind you and it makes adjustments to the outfit.
Thank you.
Straightens things out.
After today, things will be so different.
Yes, they will.
As you are making adjustments, Solrune, I'm going to spend a villain point and say that as you're adjusting things, one of the strings of beads gets snagged and suddenly pops, and just one string of beads comes like pouring off and onto the floor, and now the tribal regalia that has been around for generations has been damaged. What do you do?
So we'll dive down and start to scatter to pick them up. Is it stone floor? Like, are they bouncing everywhere, or?
It's mostly you live in tents and things like that, so it's probably dirt. This is before the eternal winter, so it's not all just ice and snow. We'll say it's summertime right now.
Gather them up as quickly as possible. I'm not sure. I think I can fix it. I think I can fix it.
Quill, you are quite certain that your mother will blame you for this, no matter what you might say.
Oh, mother's gonna kill me. Quick, give them to me. Give them to me.
No, your mother won't even notice. Well, let me fix them really quickly.
She won't notice. She notices when the gnat clouds have 3 less gnats than normal.
I'm gonna restring them and try and tie it.
Okay, Quill, are you gonna help or just let
She's
Solrun
gonna
do
just
this?
like stay out of the way. She's like, no, it doesn't go like that. I think it loops more.
I know what I'm doing.
Okay. Why don't
I'm
we
gonna
have
intentionally try and throw it off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and I guess go ahead and Solrun roll. We'll see how this works. You are affirmated right now, so that'll creep to an 11, which is just what you need.
Just enough. So I'm gonna not hang it quite the way it should be. I'm also gonna kind of leave the end loose, so perhaps an accident could happen.
This
Is
is
that
breaking
how
my
it-
heart.
Is that how it looked before?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Thank you.
exactly how it should look. And no one's gonna be looking at it anyways. Everyone's gonna be looking at you.
You're right. I tend to worry too much. I thank you, my friend.
I
And
know. You'll
she'll
be fine.
She'll step over and she'll give you the biggest hug. I can't wait to help you at your coming of age ceremony.
I can't wait either.
You hear footsteps approaching the tent, and you recognize the brisk, deliberate walk of your mother.
Oh.
Quill.
Mother. And she'll jump back and like really sharply and like put her arms stiff down her side, and she is just the picture of uncomfortable as she waits, her eyes cast down as her mother steps into the room.
She walks in. She always has an air about her that she is the most important person in any place she finds herself.
My queen.
My queen?
Are you presentable? Are you ready? I hope you will not embarrass me today. This is very important, you understand?
I understand, Mother. I, of course, will not do anything to embarrass you.
You remember the rites, you remember all of the recitations.
Of course. And she lifts a hand to her forehead as if to hide the dark circles under her eyes because she's been studying literally all night for this.
Solrun, you have been an excellent helper to my daughter here.
Thank you, my queen. It has been an honor to have your daughter as my friend.
She smiles sweetly at you, but both of you can see that it just doesn't really look right on her face, you know? I expect you wouldn't mind giving us a moment, Solrun.
Of course not. I'll slip out.
Are you going to stick around, or are you going to head off?
I'll head off and go finish getting ready.
Okay. Your mother steps around, examining your look, your regalia. Now, tell me what is first. What ritual? Tranquility, quickly.
I'm sorry. So first I go and I step in front of the elders of the tribe and I recite.
I hope you will not be stuttering like that the entire time.
I'm sorry, Mother.
Then?
And then I will carry the flame from one end to the other, or do I? No. Yes, from one end to the other, and then we douse it in ice to represent the balance of the fire and the ice with our livelihood. And then there's the song.
Tranquility. How many times do I have to tell you? You're forgetting a vital step.
Crap.
Where are you looking this whole time?
To the sea?
Yes. Don't forget that.
Of course.
I don't know how you ever expect to be chieftain. You have a lot to learn.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's hard to live up to Queen Bjornhilg Solvig's daughter.
She'll pat you heavily on the shoulder. I know I have always put a great deal on you. It's not your fault you weren't able to live up to it all the time.
No?
I just can't expect that kind of greatness out of everyone. It takes a rare person, and I'm afraid you are just not that person, which is not your fault.
I am quite sorry, Mother.
Unfortunately, you are the only option. But we will make do with what we have. And perhaps you will surprise me.
I will work hard to meet your expectations.
Yes. Come along. We don't want to keep everyone waiting.
Of course. And she'll quicken her step to walk diligently behind her mother's brisk walk.
As you reach the tent and the exit, she stops suddenly and then turns around very slowly and looks you up and down. And her eyes fall on that one string of beads.
I try and hide it with my hand.
Why don't you make a roll?
10 plus 2 for the chat.
You are. How do you hold it, or how do you hide these this flaw in your?
So I just clasp my hands in front of me so that my arm kind of covers it, and I do like a little respectful bow to my mother.
I thought I saw something wrong with the beating.
Of course not, Mother. And her eyes are shifty as she glances away.
Of course not. And she'll turn and continue out the tent. Some time passes as everyone continues, getting everything gathered and all the people together, and they light the fire. And you guys have set up camp here near the seashore, as you usually do whenever you do these kinds of rites. Of course, your tribe is nomadic, so you aren't always here, but this is your regular ritual spot by the sea of moving ice.
Mm-hmm.
And there's everything you need set up on the shoreline, the burning pyre, the box of ice basically where you're supposed to dip it, and everything is set up, and you see Solrune waiting nearby. We have a few minutes if you'd like to run along.
Thank you, Mother. And she'll run over to her friend Solrune. She almost noticed. I barely hit it in time. And she'll gesture to the beads.
You'd be fine.
Only because you fixed it so well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm nervous.
Oh, you're going to do great. Just remember, you need to take the fire and put it in the box and keep an eye on your mother the whole time.
On the sea, I thought.
Oh, yeah. On the sea. Sorry, I haven't practiced as much as you.
No, you're fine. I only remembered because she reminded me just now. Okay, I can do this, right?
Oh, well, maybe she's testing you.
You think she's testing me?
I mean, when you think about it, when you're a queen and your daughter's going to do this, and she's supposed to look at you, wouldn't you say she's supposed to look at the sea? To see if she's really studied?
No, but my mother is not me. It sounds something like what she would do.
Yeah.
I will, while I'm doing the recitations at the beginning, I will be looking at her, and I will see how she reacts.
Well, why don't you roll to see if you can remember what's right here?
2. That seems pretty appropriate. She's 2.
You do have hero points.
It's okay. I feel like this is something that would happen to Quill.
Okay.
This is definitely something that would happen to her.
Part of the story.
So she'll go and she'll approach her mother.
Great.
Thank you. I have to say before I go, it has been so important to me to have one friend.
Always.
I don't think I could have done it without you.
Give you a big hug.
Oh, the squishiest of hugs. And then she'll turn and like start to run towards her mother and then remember that this is a solemn coming of age day, and she'll slow to a walk and approach.
Yeah, everyone's assembling and getting ready. Solrune, where do you place yourself? Are you like front of the crowd? Are you hanging back? Are you in Quill's eyesight? Where you want to be?
Can I get near the queen? Or is she kind of sectioned
The
off?
queen is going to kind of participate. She's up with the elders that
okay.
Quill is going to kind of do this in front of. But there, if think of it, we can kind of, it's set up a little bit like a wedding aisle. So there's like, crowds on either side, and Quill will kind of do her recitations in front of the elders and then walk to the other end of the aisle, do the whole fire, looking to the sea, all that stuff.
So yeah, Solrune will definitely get where Quill can see her.
Mm-hmm.
Right up front.
Okay. Quill, you're supposed to start your walk from the ceremonial tent.
Okay.
And so your mother escorts you over there, gives you one last look up and down, and says, "Don't disappoint me."
I've never tried
She
to,
turns and leaves before you answer, and takes her place up on the chieftain's spot on the ring of elders.
Quill stands for a minute in the tent, a flutter of anxiety in her chest. Her palms are sweating as she runs through the ceremony again and again and again. And remember, okay, I have to look at my mother, and I do the recitations, then the move the fire, and then the dunk in the ice, and then I do the song and stare at the sea. I got this. I can do this. And her breath is coming like a little too fast, and then the music starts out, like the drums start to beat all low and slow, and she knows it's time, and she runs her palms across her thighs and then straightens her shoulders and walks out.
And you walk out and everyone is looking at you. This is just like walking down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
All the heads turn and see you in your regalia. You're covered with, along with the beading, you have like a tiger skin on you, a necklace of tiger claws, and teeth and things like that. And you walk out. Next, you pass the bucket of ice and the burning pyre, and you turn on your heel to your left and see before you the elders waiting at the other end. Go ahead and make a roll to see how regally you walk.
Oh, tranquility. Okay, she does okay. It's a 13.
Okay. She's nervous. You're nervous, but you keep it in, and you walk. The tiger cloak is a little bit long for you, but you don't trip. You're able to walk to the end of the aisle, and you stand before your mother and 3 other elders.
She draws a deep breath, and her speech is just like rushing out of her head. She knows that she's supposed to like honor her ancestors and the past and like look back on where they are, and it's supposed to be to where they came. And she's just, elders, Queen Bjornhild, every day is a blessing given to us by our ancestors. The noble warriors who founded the Tiger tribe, bedeckled in the skins of the strongest beasts of the tundra. And she'll just like gesture to the tiger skin that's across her. We travel along, and she's looking at her mother, not the sea of moving ice.
Yeah, you see that a few of the elders start to like glance at each other. One, there's a small whisper, and your mother's face just turns dour. Go ahead and roll.
I'm going to start going.
Go ahead and roll to keep your nerve, Quill.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh.
3. Okay, I think she is going to stutter and she's going to and then she'll nervously turn towards the ocean to continue the speech as she like goes into this next line to hopefully cover. She's like, but we travel along the sea of moving ice, and she'll turn to do this. And
I'm gonna
voice is, oh, sorry.
No, go, keep going.
Her voice is dropping too low for people to be able to really hear her now. But so like they can see her lips are moving, but no one can really hear her.
Oh, I'm gonna spend a villain point to make this even more awful. And as you turn, your arm shifts in such a way that the loose loop that Silverune tied comes undone, and the beads drop again to the ground at your feet. You feel the little pitter patter on your feet as they roll around, and you just hear this immense sigh from your mother behind you.
Oh, she just like all of the color drains from her face and her throat knots up and she starts to fight tears.
You see Silverune in the crowd. The only person who's now looking at you. Everyone is looking at you, but they're doing it in the way of like, they're like looking around. They're looking at a spectacle, but Silverune is looking at you. What do you do, Silverune?
Tranquility tries really hard to take heart from her friend giving her a heart, but it feels a little backhanded. And she'll swallow hard, and she's just gonna skip the rest of the speech. And she'll say, and now we'll move the fire. And she's gonna walk across. She's gonna grab she's a torch, and she's gonna light it in the huge pyre.
Go ahead and roll. See how this goes.
Am I doing it right? Do I have my hands in the right place? Did I grab the appropriate thing?
Okay.
I did. I'm recovering.
You're recovering. You're getting it together.
She's staring out across the sea of moving ice now, and she says, the fire and the pyre represents our life, our will to live, and where we will eventually rest. And she'll walk over to the bucket or the big thing of ice water. She's like, when we have burnt out, we go to rest beneath the ice. And she will douse it in the ice.
As you douse it, you hear a whistle from your mother that you recognize as like this is how she commands sometimes the guards and things like that, the warriors. And you're facing away from the crowd right now. You're dousing this fire in the bucket of ice, and you hear this whistle, and you turn and you see 4 warriors approaching you, breaking from the crowd and just heading straight for you. What do you do?
I got this part right. No, I did this part right. Mother?
Your mother is looking at you, but she says nothing. The crowd seems what's the right word here? Like if you were to watch a cow going to the butcher.
Oh, dear.
That like sad resignation. Mm-hmm. And the warriors don't hesitate. They grab your arms. 2 of them do, and then the other 2 kind of place themselves around you, and they start dragging you away.
What is going on here? What? No, I can do the song. I will do the song right this time.
Are you trying to break free?
She's not really trying to break free. She's like doing like a little wiggle, but she's like 13 against warriors. She's not going to be able to escape. So yeah, she'll just be dragged along with them. Where are they taking her?
They're headed they're continuing to head toward the sea. And Solrune, what do you do? Quill meets your eye for a moment as she's panicked and looking around.
Have I ever seen them do this before?
No. Even for you, I mean, you guys have been around long enough to see, these sort of rituals maybe not go exactly perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But the penalty is not death.
Okay. I'm going to I'm gonna give a look and then run to the queen.
She seems preoccupied with watching what's going on, but no one's stopping you.
My queen.
What is it?
Forgive me. I know that your daughter has made a horrible mistake, but she does not deserve this. I am her only friend. I would be destroyed if you took her away.
Why don't you roll to entreat the queen? That's 5.
I will spend a point.
Okay. You have a little bit of narrative control here.
She has made a horrible error, and she should be banished, but not killed. That's not right. You would not want your child. How would it look for my queen to have to kill her own child?
The queen will observe you for a moment, and then just a sly smile creeps across her face, and she pats your head, and she says, "My child,
yes,
this
my
is
queen.
Not a punishment. This is a sacrifice that must be made in the name of the Frostmaiden. You have proven yourself quite valuable, however, and I will not forget that." And she'll, her hand on top of your head moves to your cheek and cups it for a moment, and then she brushes past you.
Thank you, my queen.
And Quill, you see this as you're being dragged toward the sea. You see your mother hold Solrune's face in a way that she never, ever has touched you. And Solrune, you turn and you meet Quill's eyes. What does that look like?
Solrune has a look of, there's a little pity in her face. She feels bad, but she also has a look like, you blew it. You didn't.
Oof.
Haskell,
Oof.
everyone's learning so much about Quill in this story. And they drag you out onto an ice floe, Quill.
But you will.
Oh, cold-blooded. Okay.
They drag you out onto an ice floe, and one of the warriors that has his hands free stabs a spear deep into the ice, and the other one begins taking out ropes.
Why is this happening?
For the Frostmaiden, for the queen.
For the... I don't understand. Please, mother, why is this happening?
She's walked closer to the shore now, and the crowd is kind of followed and in kind of a V around her, and now they're all watching here on the shore. And the warriors are tying you up. Are you trying to resist?
Yeah, she's now gonna start trying to fight back.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Okay, let's see what happens. I'm gonna spend a hero point here.
Okay.
For limited control.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to break away enough to run and fall at her mother's knees and clutch her clothes. Can I do that?
Yeah. So
Okay,
you scramble past the guards.
She'll scramble past. She'll probably fall and then scramble forward on her hands and knees and grip onto her mother's clothes. I've tried. I know that I have not been the person who could make you proud. But please, why? It was just a ceremony. I can learn. I promise I can learn.
The time for learning tranquility is done. I have no need of heirs. The Frostmaiden will preserve me. So you are of no use to me, except as a continual embarrassment of our legacy. You have royal blood in your veins and will make a worthy sacrifice to the Frostmaiden. You should be proud in this. You are proving to be of some value after all.
That is all I am. Just how valuable of a sacrifice I am. I am your daughter.
She takes her gaze from you and just looks beyond to the sea. And she whistles again, and the guards scoop you back up and drag you toward the spear that's stuck in the ice floe. Okay. They start to bind you. Is Quill still fighting at this point, or has she...
She's fighting at first. Oh, no, sorry, I did that backwards. She's just absolutely slumped, like destroyed by what her mother has just said. But as they start tying her, she starts fighting once more and just starts screaming, like these heart-tearing screams of begging every person in her tribe by name to not do this and to save her.
Silrune, Quill names you at last. And the queen turns her gaze to look at you.
Silrune starts to say something and then stops and begins to cry. I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry? What is that? You are no friend of mine. You have never been a friend of mine.
And the warriors finish tying you. They've tied sure knots and very tightly around your wrists and your feet to this stabbed-in spear. And they move off the ice floe, and then with their remaining spears, they push the ice off into the sea, and you slowly drift away. Soon, the sun starts to fall, and it becomes very, very cold.
So there was a while Quill just cried, just until she was absolutely empty inside. She had nothing left but just anger. And when the anger was all that was left in her, she started to fight and to wrestle. And finally, as it is so bitingly cold, she manages to snap. Well, I guess I should probably roll for this. I'll spend a hero point. I'll just spend a hero point.
Okay.
So she manages to snap free the spear, not herself from the spear, but the spear free from the ice. And she teeters for a second and then falls into the ocean.
Where it is somehow even colder than it was just a moment ago.
The ocean is so cold, it steals her breath away. All of her muscles contract, and it's just pain all over. Her bubbles fly free from her mouth as she does a silent scream that she knows that no one is going to hear. She's drifted too far away from her village, and she thrashes as much as she can in the water, just with a long breath. And then finally she has to breathe something in, and ice water just pours into her lungs.
And of course, with your hands and feet still bound, you are not having much luck keeping yourself above water at all. And you breathe in this freezing water and immediately start to gag, and you're just choking on water now. And it's already dark outside, so you can't really even see the surface anymore. And you think that this is the end for Quill. When suddenly you feel this strength beneath you, this large mass hits your body gently and then propels you up out of the water and just tosses you onto the ice floe. And in the same motion, cuts the ropes that were binding you, and you just flop onto the ice floe like a fish out of water.
She's choking and gasping and throwing up all of the water that was in her chest and shaking. It's so cold. She's shaking and shaking. And she blinks towards the figure that had pushed her up out of the water, the remaining paint and makeup she'd been wearing just dripping down her face in a mess.
And you see bobbing in the water the head of a polar bear.
She screams and tries to like skitter away on the ice floe, and the whole thing starts to tip.
As it tips, the polar bear scrambles up onto the ice floe, which makes it rock and back and forth even more. But the polar bear, as it causes the ice floe to rock, actually grabs your leg to keep you from falling once more. And then before your eyes, this polar bear transforms into a weird hybrid bipedal polar bear humanoid. It's very large. She's got fish, belted around her. She has an eye patch and markings. And she is holding your leg still, and she says, "Hush, hush, child, hush. Stop panicking."
And she'll just curl forward, her forehead to her knees, and she'll just cover her ears with her hands and just start to cry once more.
The werebear scoops you up into its arms and says, "Shh, it is okay now. It is okay. It is all right. My name is Oyamanartak. You are safe now."
And with those words, we fade back into the tavern where Quill is, her fingernails are just biting into her arms. And how is that story for you? We had a tribe of people supposed to take care of each other, tossing them away like garbage. The worth of a life is merely that of how it will please the gods.
Haskell's jaw is like dropped open.
Shut your mouth, Haskell. You will catch a bug. And she'll turn away without even like listening to like Ronaldo's response. And she has her elbows up on the table and she's just glaring out across the tavern once again.
Moon Eye will reach his hand across and put it on her back and give a slight rub.
Her forehead will head will tip forward for a second, and she'll give him like a half smile, and then just be silent.
A sad tale, but an important lesson, I suspect. Many lessons in that one. For this, I give you some of my own knowledge. It seems you have some problem with the Frostmaiden, or at least some history. They say, of course, the Frostmaiden is who is causing this eternal winter. They also say she lives on a misty isle, hidden in the very sea that you spoke of, the sea of moving ice. Every night they say she rides across the sky on a great bird to weave her magic, and then she returns to rest in isolation. There is a whale with a boat on its back. I have seen this with my own 2 eyes. It swims in those seas, It speaks. Angajuk, the whale. And I hear it gives passage to those it trusts. Perhaps if you ever go back to finish that story, you may seek out Angajuk.
Perhaps I will. And in her mind, she thinks, and maybe I'll kill my mother while I'm at it.
And with that, we will actually go to our break. And then after break, we will finish with Moon Eye's story and Haskell's story. So thank you guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes and finish up. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for letting us take a short rest. We're doing a little bit of a flashback night, and we are swapping some pieces of our backstories. So far we've gotten to see Stew Drinker interact with his hero, as he has called her, his little sister Kina, who earned the name Cloud Thinker. And we've gotten to see a little bit of her, played by the wonderful M, of course. And then we switched tones dramatically and got to hear Quill's tragic backstory of being used as a sacrifice in the name of the Frostmaiden at the hands of her mother and the only person that she thought was a friend, played by Ian. So now we get to dive into Moon Eye's backstory a little bit and learn something about him. So Ronaldo looks over to you, Moon Eye, as you're lightly rubbing Quill's back, and he cocks an eyebrow and says, "You look like someone who has quite the story. Care to share?"
I think my story will be less exciting than you think. I left home when I was young and lived alone so as to become closer to the understanding of my goddess, the Moon Maiden. There was one time when I had climbed up a tall parapet of stone and positioned myself to meditate through 7 nights and 7 days to feel the moons closer to my heart. And while there, as I drifted and lost my thoughts, I was visited by an unexpected representative of my maiden.
And the camera zooms out and away, and we cut to a much younger Moon Eye. How old would you be, Moon Eye, around this time?
I think at this time Moon Eye is probably like 15, so he's been away from home for 3 years. But it's 10 years or so before we meet him.
So he looks much younger here. However, he still has the one blind eye with the scar over it. And he is atop this stone formation somewhere in the Spine of the World Mountains. It is night. The moonlight is washing over everything, including you, Moon Eye. And as you're meditating, some moonlight starts to focus and form brighter and brighter, almost coming together. And then sitting before you, there is a white fox. And Chase, do you want to describe what Kajuk looks like?
Yeah, Kajuk is a bright snow white fox, almost like so white that they appear to be glowing, like with the moonlight. It's almost hard to discern if they are corporeal or if they're something more formed of energy. Just curled up kind of lazily in a nice little circle on the ground right now.
You see the human before you, his eyes are shut and he is in a meditative state. He hasn't seemed to really notice you yet.
Okay, Kajuk will look up, and as the fox kind of looks up, it's got on the white fur, it's got a little patch of silver making like a crescent moon on its forehead. And it'll just stare for a minute.
Muna, you feel that... Oh, go ahead, Chase, if you're going to say something.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, you have that sense, where you feel someone looking at you, even though you can't see them. You have this sense suddenly that you're not alone.
Moon Eye's right eye will open up a bit. Hello,
Kajuk's
Lunar
just
One.
going to stare. Hello, Moon Eye.
What brings you here?
I'm here for you.
Have you come from the maiden?
I have come from somewhere. I'm here to show you some things.
What is it you must show me?
Do you need to finish what you're doing first?
I believe what I was doing was preparing myself for you.
Very well. Well then, follow me. Just gonna kind of hop off and it's gonna start prancing out. We're in a tent right now, you said?
No, you're up on like a stone
Up on this
precipice kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, it's just gonna turn around, it's just gonna start trotting away.
Kajuk leaves this silvery trail just a little ways behind themselves. And you can see it glisten with a hint of moonlight as they walk away.
Unai rises up without his stone axe or shield. He doesn't have those yet in his life, and begins to follow.
Kajuk moves very quickly and swiftly, almost unnaturally. And I'll go ahead and have you make our first roll, Moon. I see how well you keep up with Kajuk. You got just what you needed.
Where are we going, little one?
Just follow me. Try to keep up. They move like real quick. They don't take like the most optimal path. They hop over like fallen trees and rocks and through rough stuff, and it's just very effortless for them. Maybe a little more effort for you to have to go through all this rugged terrain.
Yeah, as you're wandering through, sticks and things are getting caught in your hair and on your clothing.
I'll pick them as I keep trying to keep up. I do not usually go quite this fast. I am not of the elk.
You are not of many things. This is why I have things to show you, to make you part of more things. Are you a good student?
I think I am.
What have you learned from elders?
I left the elders a long time ago. They were teaching me nothing but the stories of my people. I knew I needed to come and study in the wilderness to understand the maiden more.
Everything is starting to make sense. And I'll just keep leading you through this rugged terrain.
How much longer will we be traveling?
Don't ask so many questions.
As you follow Kajuk, you come upon a small clearing. And Kajuk, you know that this is the place. You feel the familiar presence of your I don't know, you're the person who sent you. That this is the right place.
Right here. Find some place concealed. Get comfortable.
All right. What kind of space is this? There's
It's a
rock
small
outcropping?
clearing.
Okay.
Yeah, you've kind of come down a little bit off the mountainside and just to a small little like in between valley. And the trees are cleared just up ahead.
So Moonai will find some bushes along the edge of the clearing and hunker down as low as possible.
Go ahead and make a
snowy
roll.
right now, yeah?
Yeah. See how well you hide yourself. Nice.
Quite.
So with a 19, yeah, you find a good spot. Well, I guess tell me about your hiding spot.
So there's the red berry. It's one of the few things that blooms throughout the winter. I mean, has berries throughout the winter, but keeps its leaves. There's one of those. So he gets down behind and digs into the snow and buries himself up, so he's nice and concealed.
And
Kajuk will just curl up like nearby in some snow, like in this perfect little circle. Goes almost invisible with like the color of the snow, except for some beady black eyes that are opened.
What are we waiting for? What are we watching for?
Sit here and watch. You will see.
Yes, of course.
Keep your attention focused and everywhere at once.
Focused and everywhere at once.
It's easy if you try.
I'm getting some Haskell vibes. Only like focused and everywhere at once.
Right.
It's easy. Come on, Moon Eye. You should be getting this already.
Mhm.
No, I like it. After a while, you start to get a little bit cold. Of course, the snow in the mountains doesn't bother you too much, but just sitting in the snow, you start to get a little chilly when you see creeping from the other side of the clearing a reindeer slowly start to move into the moonlight. And you can see just behind it a smaller figure that looks to be a fawn.
Kajuk looks like they've been sleeping for the whole time, and as soon as the reindeer starts approaching, their eyes dart open. This is what we've been waiting for. Just watch. Stay quiet.
The reindeer slowly creeps further into the clearing, and you see now where it's headed. It's actually headed toward the very berry bush that you have crouched near, Moon Eye.
It's coming this way.
Yes. Do you feel a connection to it?
I'll try and reach out with my spirit.
Go ahead and make a roll.
Yes, 17.
You feel the connection.
I
Why don't you go ahead and describe it?
So as I reach out and through the cold air with my spirit, I can feel the beating heart of both of them, both of the deers, and I kind
Explain
of
what you're
set
feeling.
my heart in sync with them. I can feel the energy flowing from them and into me and how they perceive the world around them. I can feel them. And I sense what they sense.
Good. Keep watching.
Suddenly you feel that heartbeat quicken, and you hear the snap of a twig off
Something's here.
to the side of the clearing, and the reindeer that is kind of snacking on the berries at your bush suddenly, does the deer thing where the head just comes up and looks to the side, and you feel that same anxiety, that same, not quite panic, but ready to run at a moment's notice.
I will look there as well.
You see creeping in the shadows a figure. Why don't you roll, see how clearly you can make out the details. Natural 20. The Moon Maiden is with you.
Mm-hmm.
You see clearly that it is a saber-toothed tiger. But
You
it does
see
not
it?
seem like the deer has quite identified it yet.
Do you see it?
I do see it.
Focus on it now. Do you feel a connection with that one? Time moves quite slowly when you focus.
I can feel it, yes.
Why don't you roll, see how closely you feel this saber-tooth. With
I'm
the
gonna spend a point on that
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
That's much better.
And what do you feel from the saber-toothed tiger?
It's hungry. It must take that fawn, the small one.
These are feelings familiar to you?
Yes,
Do you think the fawn's hunger as well?
the fawn is hunger as well, but we all have the darkness that must be fed in us sometimes.
Yes, now you're starting to get it. Keep watching.
The saber-toothed tiger leaps out into the clearing, and the reindeer panics. And now you feel the hunger of the tiger, and you feel the panic of the deer. And indeed, as Kajuk said, you're almost in bullet time here. It seems to be happening so slowly, and you feel like you have a moment to act. What do you do?
Now it's time for decisions. What do you do? What is your place here?
My place here is to watch.
Do you feel a connection to yourself?
I feel
To
a
your own
connection to
soul?
both of them. They must do what they must do.
So what do you do? Time moves slow, but it does not stop. It never stops for anyone.
I will stand up to observe. So I'm going to rise up from behind the bush.
Kajuk will prop up and sit next to you.
The time starts moving again, and the tiger leaps onto the reindeer and just takes it down quite easily. And you feel one of the heartbeats stop as the tiger just rips into this thing's neck and jugular, and the deer goes still. And you feel now this satisfaction from the tiger and this shrinking sadness, and along with the panicked heartbeat of the fawn, who is still tucked quietly across the clearing.
That was the wrong choice, I think.
Why do you think so?
Because the tiger is so satisfied, but the fawn is so much pain and sadness, and the other fawn goes off having lost its child. I think I should have helped them, not let them fall like that.
Hold on to that emotion. Hold on to those thoughts. There's more to see.
The tiger weirdly seems to ignore you and spends a few moments eating from this body, and then soon grabs the deer and starts dragging it away, leaving a smear of blood in its path. And you feel that connection with the fawn dissipate.
It's gone now.
Yes.
I will never be back.
No.
Why would you have me see this, Kajuk? Why? I know that things take life. Why must I feel it like that?
Let us follow the beast.
Do you start leading him, Kajuk?
Yeah, I'll start prancing into the snow. Real low to the ground, quiet like.
I want to see Kajuk. I bet Kajuk is so cute. Yeah.
And I will begin to follow.
Again, Kajuk is kind of streaking through the snow, leaving that glistening silvery trail behind it. And you plod through the snow once again, your boots getting caked with the blood that's soaked into the snow in the trail of this tiger that's been dragging the body away. And you walk for a ways. You start to lose a sense of time, or for how long you've been following Kajuk. So after a few moments or a few days, you suddenly come to the mouth of a cave, and you see the tiger drag the body into the darkness of the cave.
It is home now.
Yes. Let us go see what it does, Adom.
I do not want to go in there.
Kajuk's gonna go kind of creeping into there, a little bit of light being shed from the bright fur.
But Kajuk, the maiden is the goddess of twilight, not darkness like that. I do not want to be in that darkness.
Stop asking questions. Stop arguing. Follow.
Take a deep breath and focus on Kajuk and just begin to go forward. Just keep my eyes locked on Kajuk.
Okay, why don't you roll to keep your nerve? This darkness, you're normally able to see pretty well in the dark, but this feels enveloping, feels thick. That is only a 5.
Yes.
Would you like to use a hero point, or would you like to fail?
Moon Eye gets to the mouth of the cave. I can't go in. I've never seen darkness like that before.
You still have a lesson to learn, and it lies within this cave.
You can tell Kajuk that this child is losing his nerve before your eyes. Fear is not something you are accustomed to, although you do have knowledge of it. What do you do?
Gonna kind of cock their head to this side and study for a little bit, and then gonna go walk up and kind of like slide like around his legs, kind of like curl up, like brush the big bushy tail around his legs. Every creature feels fear. Fear is something we have control over. It does not control us.
Fear does not
Darkness
control
is a
us.
symbol. It is not a danger.
That's right.
To some, darkness is safety. Darkness can be your safety too.
Darkness can be my safety. All right.
Just as the light can be.
I'm going to reach down and rub Kajuk's head. Thank you.
Ears will kind of go back. He rubs the ears, then he'll go prancing back towards the cave.
Begin to step forward into the darkness.
All right. The darkness swallows you, and for a moment you lose sight of even Kajuk.
Kajuk.
And you feel it around you, like almost like a blanket pressed all around. But then you take another step, and suddenly it's just a regular cave. And you can see Kajuk shining up ahead. You see the tiger a little ways farther. And you see some smaller shapes moving at the very far back of the cave.
I'll take a few more steps forward. What are these things?
Reach out. Feel the connection.
I'll close my eyes and begin to reach out, trying to understand what they are.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Mm-hmm. 13 total.
13. Yep. You feel you feel that the tiger again once more, strong, healthy, and then you feel these fainter heartbeats. Weaker, cold, so hungry. And as you step closer, you see curled up in a little bundle are 3 small tiger cubs.
They are its children.
Yes. Everything has a lineage, even those that appear to be monsters. And Kajuk's fur will kind of shimmer away from like that bright white to like a stark black, and the eyes will turn from a black to like a glowing white, as will like the moon on their forehead. It'll glow a little bit. Every being and every action has light and dark in it.
Yes.
This is the lesson.
I see.
It is in you too.
It is. I should not be afraid of the darkness. It must be there.
You felt the blanket when you walked in. It
I
scared
did feel
you,
the blanket.
but it was a comfort.
So I did not know that before.
One can try to stand between light and dark, as you did. You watched. They cannot stay there.
That is our role of Twilight.
Kajuku kind of nod.
And the three cubs get up from their sleeping places and run eagerly toward their parent, and where they happily start feasting on this deer corpse. And you feel those faint beats get stronger. You feel the hunger disappear, and you feel vibrant life instead, and hope and a future. And then the whole scene disappears, and you find yourself seated on top of the mountain once more, and Kajuk seated in front of you. This time a mixture of black and white. What do you look like now, Kajuk?
It's like stripes running down their back of black and white, kind of like a spiral around the head, like split at the cheeks of black, white down the forehead. Eyes still kind of glowing with the bright white.
You have shown me many things, Kajik.
It's gonna kind of curl up and lay down and nod. Yes, you're a good student.
It is
We
time
will not
for
hold
us.
you back.
I will follow your teachings wherever you guide me.
It's gonna nod.
And as Kajuk curls up in that same comfortable position, the moonlight gathers around and slowly fades back until Kajuk is no longer there. And we fade back to Moonlight sitting in the inn telling this tale, and I will go ahead and let you wrap it up.
And Kajuk would come and see me a few other times to guide me in my lessons. He was a good mentor. We all need someone that wise to assist us at some point in our lives. So as you can see, it is not a grand story.
What did you say, Chase?
I understand this god. I did not know this is who you worshipped.
I did not know you could understand a god, Haskell.
I understand much about the gods. He's gonna look over at Quill. And I did not know you were a princess.
She rolls her eyes. If you are listening to the story, Haskell, you will know that I am no longer a princess.
Once a princess, always a princess. You did not die. Therefore, your title's not been taken from you.
I was not aware that you were the expert on princesses.
I am the expert on many things.
I'm just a person, Haskell.
It's a royal one.
She exhales, closes her eyes for a moment, and then turns back to judge the crowd.
Haskell's gonna grab her hand for a second. I'm sorry your mother did that to you.
Her shoulders fall a little bit, and then after a long moment, she squeezes your hand back.
We are no longer acquaintances. I will be friends with the princess. I will be a better friend than the one in your story.
The smallest smile cracks across her face, and she looks over at you, and then turns around to face the table. I think it is your turn to tell us a story, Haskell.
Ronaldo is smiling widely, and he says, "Ah, yes. I have been quite interested to hear your story. But first, I trade. This story you have given me, Mooneye. It is simple, but it is important. The light, it needs the darkness as much as the darkness needs light. It is true. You know, you are not the first Goliaths I have seen here. There is one here in town, I still think. Quan de Monolith, Thun Lakalaga, and you two will recognize that last name as a Goliath of the Sky Tower Shelter clan, which is the one that your clan is bitter rivals with. She has hit upon hard times, living a gambling lifestyle here in the big city. But she told me she wished to atone and regain her honor. There is the light and the darkness, as you say. She plans to do this by ending the great feud between Goliath clans. If you have interest in this story, you can find her, I think, at the Wet Trout. That is the tavern just on the other side of the city.
Thank you for that.
And if you do go with her, or if she does solve this great feud, I hope you will come back and tell me the story. I am most eager, but I am afraid I would not be so welcome among the Goliath clans. I think I am a bit too small to go myself. And he glances at you, Haskell. Speaking of small, I have been dying to hear your story.
I've been pondering which one to tell. But before I tell any story, I have to ask all of you. Why is it when I say things like goats with teeth, you act ridiculous over the science? But when this one who gives himself a title of magnificent starts talking about whales with boats on their backs, you don't even bat an eye.
It is because we do not have to see him again, Haskell.
As long as you understand that's foolish.
He has
Whales
told
with
us
boats on their backs.
only one story about whales with boats on their backs, not 10 different stories each day.
There are many interesting things to see in the world. I have traveled all over the world, crossed many seas, gained the favor of many gods. Today I will tell you a story of the time I defeated great creatures that tried to take me from the sky. They decided their god would take me to the heavens, but I refused to go.
And with that, the camera zooms out and we fade to Haskell and another halfling named Willibald sitting at the base of a small mountain, sitting around a nice campfire, preparing for the journey ahead. Haskell, why don't you describe what you kind of looked like in this day and age? And Willibald, what you look like.
Haskell looks more or less like he does now, except maybe his face paint isn't as like scattered and messy. It's more clean and almost like ritualistic. He's got very neat symbols drawn around his eyes of like different looking elements: the sun, water, stones, lightning. His hair is fuller and more neatly done. He's more well dressed. Not wearing warm clothes, or not wearing like cold weather clothing.
It's a nice spring day, very mild. The perfect day for a little hike. Willibald, what do you look like?
Willibald has blonde hair that's covered with a brown hat. They may be just a little bit too big. Every now and then he has to adjust it so it doesn't blind him. He's wearing cargo pants that are bulging with assorted knickknacks. You can see the outlines of rocks, maybe something that resembles like a little piece of bread, just in case. There's an old wand, which, I mean, upon closer inspection, you can tell that the magic has been used up, but he just wanted to keep it for sentimental value. He's grinning from ear to ear, and he has a satchel that's strapped around his neck and shoulder.
And what are Haskell and Willibald talking about around the campfire as you guys get ready to set out for the day?
Haskell has like the same sort of grin, looking very excited, very happy.
Maybe slightly less sinister.
Yeah, definitely less sinister. No sinister, creepy grins, just happy smiles. I like that hat, Willibald. I would much like you to tell me where you got it. Keeps the pesky sun goddesses off of your face.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, in the last town we were in, I found a delightful young woman who was selling hats. And thankfully, she gave me a good price. At least that's what she said.
I hope you tipped her for her good work.
I tried.
It is an exciting day. We'll find
Yes,
another god
indeed.
today. Gain even more
Absolutely.
favor for our travels.
Oh, yes. I can't imagine what treasures we may come across.
We have no fear of the seas with this much favor. We could travel anywhere. I believe a dragon would bargain with us.
Oh, yes. We would become fast friends with this dragon. Perhaps this dragon could carry us to even more adventure.
Perhaps this goddess or this god will be the god or goddess of dragons. Wouldn't that be
Ooh.
something?
Absolutely.
I brought my dragon egg just in case.
Good thinking. I brought my
Very
rocks.
good replica. Oh, good.
Yes, just in case. Well,
I can't even eat. Let's go.
all right, let's carry on.
Haskell will hop up and start like skipping onwards towards their destination.
Willibald will also skip along and then like try to match his pace. So they're like skipping left leg, right leg in unison.
Haskell will be beating on his drum, singing some sort of song about all the different gods.
My gosh. It is so wholesome. I can hardly stand it. Okay. Very good. So you guys head up the trail. The sun is shining. It's just beautiful today. And all the spring flowers are just starting to bloom along the mountainside. The animals are all very active right now. Birds are singing. They seem to almost be matching your tune, Haskell.
We're going full Disney.
Yes, we're doing it. And you see up ahead a really large cliff face that's kind of in. You see up on top of the cliff a little cairn, and you think the trail continues, but you've come upon a steep cliff. What do you do?
Did you bring your climbing gear?
Always, Haskell. Always. And he begins.
Why don't you roll and see if you remembered to bring your climbing gear? That's a 9. Oh, I guess with chat up to an 11. So you brought your climbing gear, but you only brought one kit.
Oh. Sorry, I brought my climbing gear, but alas.
That is okay. You make your way up. I'll spot you, and then you can throw a rope down.
Oh. All right, let's get moving. I want you to be able to see what I see just as quickly.
Yes, I will rest while you climb.
You lasso it up to the top. I guess we are going Disney. Yep. So you attach the climbing gear and you make quick work. Haskell, why don't you roll to spot your dear friend Willibald?
Yes, I would love to do that. I almost forgot where my dice were. 14.
14, yeah. So you catch one spot that he's about to grab. It looks a little loose, and you, I guess you have narrative control. I keep forgetting. So go ahead and explain how you help Willibald get to the top safely.
Yeah, no, he does a toss, and it looks pretty solid. But when he kind of starts climbing, Haskell sees some rocks shifting what's up there. Wait, you need to retoss that one. It's not secure there.
Thank you very much, Haskell. Always looking out for me.
I'll play you up a nice pace, and he'll start beating on his drum, doing his little equivalent of a bardic inspiration.
Perfect.
And you'll see Willibald, like, as he's climbing to the beat, too. Just whenever, just like, boom, up, up, up.
And Willibald, you scramble to the top quite easily, and you look around for something to attach a rope to, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Chat's got your back, Willibald.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be a 10, which is enough.
Thank goodness.
Where do you attach the rope?
I'd say I'd like to find just a spot where there's some heavier rocks. If I need to reposition some other rocks, I will, just to make sure that like where I've got my hook, everything is nice and secure. But as I throw the rope down, I'd also like to like have my hands on it too, just in case, and yell out, "Haskell, it's beautiful up here! Hooray!"
Hold your arms out. Feel the goddesses of the wind at your fingertips. They will guide me up.
All right.
There's a rope, Haskell. Why don't you roll to climb?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, 18.
Easy
Wind
peasy.
goddess is guiding him right up there.
Yes. You make it up quite easily, and why don't you tell me what it looks like up here?
Yeah, he's gonna get to the top, and he's gonna stretch his own arms out when he gets up there. Just taking a nice deep breath, enjoy the scenery around. He can smell some nice ocean air coming up from an ocean he can see off in the distance. A nice, pretty beach, some forested areas around, with some cliff sides going all around leading up. It's wonderful up here. Annabelle would love it.
And as you say, Annabelle, you actually do see a mountain goat a little ways off, trotting by, and it stops to graze on some grass with the sharp teeth that you know goats to have. Just, sharp enough to grab up the vegetation around their mountain habitats.
Oh, and look, there's a cute goat as well.
Yes, this is a good omen.
Indeed.
Tip hat to the goat.
He'll do a bow. Let us continue onwards.
Yes,
The goat
indeed.
smiles at you with its sharp teeth and then goes trotting off elsewhere. And you guys continue up the trail. It's not too much longer to the top. Why don't you, Haskell, roll to navigate the rest of the way up?
Roll 20's thinking about it. There we go. 13.
Okay. So you do eventually reach the top, and it takes you a few hours. So by now it's, maybe late afternoon. And you see at the top here a concentric circles of cairns that start in the middle, obviously, and they come out wider. And you think that this is the shrine you've been looking for.
Ah, here it is. He's going to start looking around. What kind of god do you think this is to? Haskell, it's does it look sinister? Does it look happy? What's the mood of this shrine?
I'm going to spend a villain point. And I'm going to say that this shrine, you step into the first circle and are suddenly gripped with this dread. And sort of your mind starts spinning. It almost like vertigo.
Yeah, he's going to kind of stumble back a little bit, grab onto Willibald so he doesn't fall. Oh, I don't know if this is one that we want to mess with. Do you feel
Okay,
it?
Haskell.
I think so. I feel like the god is trying to grip my mind.
Well, you know what they say. Fear is but an obstacle. I think we shall press on and find. Oh, what amazing treasures might we find beyond such a feeling?
Yes, you are right. We should proceed cautiously, though. I wish we had brought Annabelle. She's such a talented healer. No
Oh,
warrior
yes.
like I am, though.
Right. But,
We should bring her on the next one.
yes, indeed, when she's not busy.
Yes. Haskell's gonna draw his very fancy looking mace. It's like decorated out, nice etched runes, like kind of like a dark black metal with gold lining, and a little shield. And he'll press on forward.
Oh, that's a good idea. And then Willibald will take out his trusty sling and get his rocks ready.
And you guys step into the shrine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
As you do, you both, again, Willibald, for the first time, you feel this sort of vertigo, almost like you're spinning, and this dread just starts creeping over you. And why don't you both roll to resist this dark feeling?
Uh-huh. Uh-oh, that's a nat 1 for me.
You do have 6 hero points you're sitting on.
Yeah, we'll use the hero point. Willibald's speech has him feeling brave, so he gets a little like he wants to turn around for a little bit, but with his buddy at his side, he shrugs it off.
It's the spirit.
Raises his shoulders.
And Willibald, you are okay as well. Hello, Raid. Thanks for coming by. We're so happy to have you.
Woohoo! Hike.
Whoa, welcome.
Just in time for things to turn south. Okay, so you
mean
guys
north.
north. You step into the shrine
This is a Disney movie. Come on.
and you press forward. You step into the next circle, and the vertigo grows. But you're kind of used to the dread now, so you're able to think through it. And then suddenly, you know how things will get darker as like a cloud passes over the sun. The light changes as you're looking down at the ground at this shrine, but it feels darker than a cloud. And if you look up, you see this huge shadow in the sky that's growing larger and larger as it seems to be moving toward you, down to the ground. What do?
What is that? He's gonna cast light and kind of just raise his shield up a little bit. Should we hide? It looks like it's coming closer.
Perhaps it is best if we split up just in case. I'll go around this way.
I'm not one to cower, but perhaps we get the jump on whatever this is. The God of
Yes.
Shadows will keep us hidden.
Good plan. And Willibald will do this as he slinks away.
Haskell will do it back with his mace and go scurrying, separated but close to like a different hiding spot.
Yeah, so you guys make your way back out of the shrine. That sense of dread and vertigo leaves you as you leave the circles. And you find some hiding spots in bushes and trees around the area. And you see this shadow grows larger, and as you get outside of the circles, you see that it's actually an object that's slowly floating down toward the ground. It looks like a great big, I don't know if this exists in your world. We'll say it does. A great big nautilus shell. So like the swirly kind, you guys are with me.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's black and kind of pulsating. It looks like it's made of this strange, spongy, organic material. And it slowly floats down and lands gently on top of this shrine. And you see the portal, the opening of this thing, kind of open up with this suction-y sound.
That was
And-
a horrible and spot on sound.
Thank you. I'm emulating Katie. She does great sound effects. And you see this shadowy figure move out of the portal. It's certainly taller than you, but not much taller than like a human. But it's hard to make out any other features from your spot right now. And the darkness, although it kind of came from this ship floating in the air, it does seem like now this shadow has been cast over this area here. What do you do?
Haskell's gonna look over at Willibald and see what they're doing.
What is Willibald doing?
Is the figure facing either one of us in particular?
No, the figure has stepped out and seems to be looking at the ship. The vessel, whatever it came out of.
Okay. In that case, Willibald will do a quick, and then he'll say, "Hello! I am Willibald Fernwillow. I've come here to look at the shrine."
What does Haskell do?
Haskell gets a little tense, gets his weapons ready, but he's gonna stay hidden and just kind of see what happens.
Okay. This figure whips around at the voice, and Willibald, you see this horrific sight. This thing is just a face full. It's just this purplish gray flesh. You see it has eyes, but then the rest of its face just forms into tentacles that are spilling out of its cloak. And it looks at you, and you feel your body suddenly just freeze up. And the words catch in your mouth. What do you do, Haskell?
Willibald's just freezing.
Yeah, how do you freeze, Willibald? What kind of position are you in?
Right. I had my sling at the ready.
Okay, Matt, stay like that till we come back to you. All right, Haskell, what do you do?
Haskell's gonna get a little concerned. He's gonna step out of his hiding place. He's gonna have a bit of an aggressive stance. He's gonna have his weapon kind of ready and his shield up in a defensive position. Excuse me. I think my friend asked you a question. Who are you? What are you doing here?
The
What
figure
is this contraption?
turns its head toward you, and you now see the face of tentacles and the awful gray purple skin, and you feel a voice in your mind. You don't hear a voice, you just feel it, and it's this language that you've never heard before. It sounds very guttural and choky and suctiony. It seems like it is speech, but you don't have any idea what this thing is saying.
Can I spend a hero point to have narrative control and have Haskell close his eyes for a brief moment? He wants to get an intuition from all of his gods that he worships of. Is he in danger, or should he try to work this out?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. He wants insight from his gods. I'll let you give it to me.
Oh, okay. You don't feel the gods in this at all. You feel like this is something secret and dark, but not a secret that should have ever been uncovered.
Haskell's gonna open his eyes sharply. Willibald, run! Now!
Willibald, are you going to try to break out of this freezing position?
I'll give it a shot.
Haskell will bang his drum, and I'll spend a hero point to have him succeed with a bardic inspiration.
Okay.
Nice. So Willibald, you struggle at first, and you feel like trying to move is like trying to push a cement wall over. And suddenly you hear Haskell's drum that you've heard so many times, and it's as if the wall just breaks in front of you and you free yourself. What do you do?
Haskell.
Run! This is no time to fight.
Oh, but this thing, what is it doing here? Do you know anything?
Good. I don't feel the gods in it. It has no soul. Run! And Haskell's gonna charge it.
Cool. Okay, go ahead and roll. Willibald, are you running? You see Haskell
Willibald-
charges in with his mace.
Willibald in this case is probably going to try to like run a bit farther, throw a useless rock, and then continue back where they had come from.
Okay, that is a nat 1, my friend Chase.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna hero point or are you gonna
I'll
let this
keep
happen?
Let it happen.
Okay, you charge in and you go to swing with your mace with this black and gold mace gleaming, and you feel yourself just freeze up right at the peak of your swing, right as you were about to connect with this thing, and it's got its hand out and its like tentacle beard is moving a little bit, and you feel like you have no control over yourself, as if someone has taken you out of the driver's seat of your body and put you in the passenger seat. And you feel yourself turn and look at Willibald, who, are you backing away, Willibald?
Yes, absolutely.
And you instead go charging at Willibald.
Haskell,
And
what are you doing?
go ahead,
Yeah,
Chase.
he's gonna charge him. He'll just do it.
Okay. Why don't we roll for this, even though it's not what Haskell would want to do?
17, 19.
Ooh.
If this is affirmated.
Ooh.
The dice are telling the story. So Willibald, in your disbelief, Haskell just charges you, and as you start asking him, what are you doing, he just bashes you across the head with his mace. What do you do? You're knocked to the ground.
Haskell, this isn't you, please.
And I'm gonna spend a villain point to give Haskell, you're filled with this, you're just incensed at Willibald, and you feel your body just take over, your mind just kind of shuts off, and you just feel like you need to hit again and again and again.
Okay.
Haskell.
Yeah, he does.
Ugh.
He just starts beating on him with the mace.
Willibald, what do? Are you going to try to run?
Yeah, gonna try to.
Okay.
But after taking a good solid strike, oof. Oh
No.
A natural
Okay.
1.
Yeah.
So can I hero point this one?
Yes.
Okay. I wanna hero point it. And so is it narrative control? Is that what we're doing with these? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so he tries to get away. Haskell's gonna grab his like leg as he's trying to get away. And as he's like going for like another swing, his eyes will flash purple and he'll kind of like shrug it off for just a second. And he's gonna let go of him. You go. It has my mind. Tell Annabelle what happened. Go.
All right. We'll be back to get you. I swear, Haskell.
Don't you come back for me. Not with this creature.
And Willibald will just run as fast as he can, recognizing that what's gone on with Haskell is it's changed him completely, and that he doesn't have much time left.
So Willibald, you scramble down the mountainside, and Haskell, I'm going to spend my last villain point. You feel that grip back on your mind and your body, and you're turned just like a puppet, and you march back toward the figure with the tentacles, and it sort of flicks its... No, it doesn't use its hand. One of its tentacles flicks, and you hear the opening of the ship, and it glides through. Doesn't even seem to be touching the ground at all, and you are marched on board. And I will go ahead and we'll fade back to Haskell in the inn. Go ahead and finish your story, Haskell.
Okay. Now, one point, when he was telling this story to Ronaldo, he would not have used the name Annabelle. You would have used Krista instead.
Okay.
And so then, I got my mind back from the creatures. I turned. I fought them. I slayed them all. They were weak of the mind, and when I mocked them, they cringed until I was able to take the final blow with my mace. Willibald got away safely. We returned back home. I brought back one of their heads as a trophy. And that is how I defeated the great fleshy shell from the sky and its horrible minions. And he's going to look like real sad for a little bit. He's going to just kind of space out and look off to the side.
Asco, that was quite the tale. I liked the part where you stood up for your friend.
He's not going to answer. He's just going to kind of keep looking off to the side.
I expected an interesting story from you, and you did not disappoint, I must say. Those creatures sound horrible. They sound like illithids. You might
Illithids.
know them as mind flayers in the common words. I wish for your sake you do not run into them again. You were lucky to escape with your life and your mind, although I see maybe you did not come away with all of that.
He'll snap his attention back towards Ronaldo. I have plenty of my mind about me. They're nothing to worry about. I would handle them again.
I believe it.
I think
have
the
much greater understanding of you now, Haskell.
And you haven't from any of my other stories. What about the ones where I was blessed by the goddess herself? I went on an adventure with the god's daughter. What about the one where I got my magic? Why this one?
I think this one helps explain more of the other stories.
I think you all just don't pay enough attention to my stories. Anyways, the real start tonight was Quill. Her stories are typically terrible. That one was interesting.
My stories are typically terrible?
What much can you tell when you talk about living alone off in the woods?
You can tell stories of foxes and deer and tigers. He glances at Moon Eye.
She doesn't tell those stories as well as Moon Eye.
You have all told magnificent stories this evening, and it is late. I promised you could get rest, but I will leave you with this one last bit of my own knowledge in exchange for this final story. I see, Haskell, you are someone connected to the gods, someone who speaks beyond. This might interest you then. They say there is a book sacred to the followers of the Frostmaiden. I've heard it called the Codicil of White. It is a great artifact, and only those who are faithful to the Frostmaiden know how to make it, it is said. It contains great magic and secrets, and I have heard a spell powerful enough to open any ice formation. Can you imagine that? Opening the entire ragged glacier. Wouldn't that be quite the sight?
This
Quill-
belongs to the Frostmaiden.
The followers, yes, the Codicil of White. She gives them these secrets and they write them down. Quill, in your mind, at the mention of this spell opening any ice formation, you feel this sudden need.
A sudden need?
Yeah, that presence that's familiar to you now. You feel like this longing.
She slowly puts like a hand to her chest as if to suppress that sensation. And that is quite interesting.
The Frostmaiden tried to steal your life. The least we could do is try to steal a book from her followers.
I would agree with this. It's a step towards revenge.
This Frostmaiden is no goddess of mine.
This was an interesting experience, Ronaldo.
I have that effect on people.
She tries so hard not to roll her eyes at that.
Haskell openly rolls his eyes at it.
Perhaps now is a good time for us to rest, now that we have shared our tales.
Indeed, I have kept you talking long enough. I will let you rest. You have given me more than I ever could have hoped for. Thank you very much for humoring me in this. I have...
buy you one last meal. It's on me.
By
The
me, I
least
thought
could
I
do
was
for
the
your
one
time.
paying here.
No,
I
you're
treated
paying.
you for the
You-
stories.
Are you covering for our rooms as well?
I expected as much.
Never mind. I won't buy your meal.
Perhaps you can do me a favor sometime,
If
Haskell's
it is
just gonna
another
stare at him.
story, I think Haskell has many.
Perhaps. But I will let you rest tonight. The crowd is dying here anyway. And indeed, it seems that you realize that somehow hours have passed, although it doesn't feel like it. And the crowd here has thinned out. Many people have left or gone to bed. And Ronaldo as well goes to the bar, pays what is due, and heads upstairs. And I think that's where we'll end it. You guys head off to bed as well. Yeah.
As we head up, Moon Eye is going to stop Stew Drinker. Kazarin, thank you for sharing that story.
Yes, of course.
I
Um,
have not had the privilege to know our sister. And each time you tell a tale about her, it helps me understand her more.
Well, one day you will.
One
And
day, perhaps.
You're gonna love her.
I'm sure I will.
Why did you not tell me you were blessed by a godling Moon Eye? Taught by one even. I would have immediately respected you more. Your morals all make sense now.
Who has taught me should have no effect on whether you respect me or not.
That's absolutely what should determine it.
We disagree.
They just stare for a while.
Just the silent stare. Quill, any
Cheers,
last words
drinker.
before bed?
Quill is hanging back, her eyes still surveying the tavern and everyone happily drinking and laughing and holding conversation with each other. And she'll kind of mutter under her breath, how is it they can be all so happy? This is my time, you think? Comfortable with the choices they have made? She will exhale, and just like there's that churning heat in her stomach of just anger that she thought she'd let go of a long time ago, but it's lit once more, and she will turn and head up the stairs to her bed, that heat just churning in her gut.
Can Haskell try to insight that?
Sure.
Let me roll it. That is 16.
Yeah, she looks bitter. She's mad that these people are able to be so chill after sacrificing so many of their own to Ariel. And she thinks they might be like her own tribe, the tiger tribe. Just able to keep moving on. It doesn't make a difference to them, as long as it's not their name up on the platter.
Haskell's gonna smack the back of Stew Drinker's calf. You are a good brother. And he's gonna go run after Quill. Quill,
Yes, Haskell.
I know what you're feeling. I feel it too.
That is a kind sentiment.
I will
Thank
help you get vengeance if it's what you seek.
It is
But not
interesting.
if there is a devil with you.
Perhaps
You need to be
my
honest
past.
with yourself about this if there is.
Perhaps my past is my devil, Haskell. Have you considered that? The more power that I get, the more I feel like I can make a difference on what's happened.
You truly do not have this Levistus with you then. Perhaps I was mixing this up with your tortured past.
Perhaps you were. And I will roll a deception.
Last time it was a nat 20.
Last time it was a nat 20. I did pray to Levistus to guide my words. We will see if he is still with me tonight. Oh, that's not a nat 20. Okay, it's a 12 plus a +2 from chat. Thank you, chat. Boom, boom. Bringing me to a grand total of 14.
Go ahead and insight, Haskell. We'll see what the dice say.
I got an aggressive push for my hero points that RLU gave me, so I will spend 1 to roll.
Okay.
You don't
But
have
it doesn't
to.
even matter.
Guys.
Get out of here.
Just barely.
Just by
By
1.
1. It's enough.
Haskell's gonna stare at her for a minute. Just make sure that you're certain of that. As Moon Eye's story said, there's light and darkness in all creatures. But not gods like devils. Fake gods that call themselves gods. There's just darkness in them. And it will take you too. But if there is not, I will help you get vengeance.
Haskell, for too long you have said that I have too much light in me. I am a naive, and that I get pushed around too easily. And the moment that I start to stand up for myself and to assert myself, you claim that I have a devil inside, making me do such a thing.
It was just a stark change. I don't know what flipped the switch.
You told me we had to act for the place. Since we have left, have I not been back to normal?
I underestimated you then. Let's perhaps stop abusing server girls, though, yes?
I have not done this thing in quite a while.
Save the abuse for the fools like the new leader of that cult. That was very funny.
She'll chuckle and shake her head. If we go back there, expect the change once more, yes?
Yes, we can abuse him even more. He is such a fool.
She'll laugh, and she'll heft her Yeti tyke that she has. Now, my Yeti and I must sleep, Haskell. Good night to you.
Yes, go get some rest. Oh, and also, I will help you romance Avarice when we get back.
She, like, if she had a drink, it would have been a spit take. Because she turned away, she froze, and she slowly turns back.
Just don't say anything. You're very bad at it. Just let me help you.
You saw the thing with Avarice?
Saw what thing with Avarice?
Just that you noticed.
Yes, you were ogling her. The entire feast.
She is very beautiful.
I won't disagree.
Stew Drinker, you're at the base of the stairs chatting with Moon Eye, and you catch little snippets of this conversation, and you make the connection because you noticed in the dining hall earlier this same thing.
In that case, he's gonna like very cheerfully come down and say, "What?"
I'll help you if you wish to, Stew Drinker.
I think you're muted, Em.
I'm not. I'm just squealing at such a pitch that
Okay.
Zoom's cutting me off. It's like Zoom's like, no, that's too loud.
Too loud. Too high.
Loud. You got stop it.
I'd love to help.
You are such a big brother.
when it comes to love, I mean,
What he means
anything.
is we pity how bad you are at it, and we wish to help.
I am going to sleep. I don't need pity. I can handle romance on my
Who-
own.
Who are you romancing?
Moon Eye comes and enters, just like the dad who overhears the conversation.
Nothing.
It's
Luna.
avarice. Wasn't it obvious?
I had not noticed.
I was mistaken, by the way. I don't think Quill does have a devil with her.
Thank you.
I told everybody to keep an eye on you, just in
What?
case.
All of you.
None
She'll
of us
just shake
listened.
her head.
Good night, Quill. I'm going to
Good
go
night.
get the most expensive room.
Enjoy that. And perhaps take a bath.
Obviously. What do you think I am, some kind of barbarian? No offense, stew drinker.
She just like turns a concerned gaze to Stew Drinker.
He's gonna sniff his pits real quick and say, "Understandable. Sweet dreams."
And that is where we will end. Nice little last scene there, guys. That was fun. We also successfully stalled for more entries in the giveaway and our last minute raiders. Thank you, Diesel Shot, for coming and hanging out.
Woohoo! So many raids.
Nice to welcome you guys right at the end here. So we will go ahead and close the giveaway and start working on drawing a winner.
I hope you all entered, because who doesn't like free dice?
Who does not like free dice?
If you don't, you're wrong. I'm sorry.
Haskell said it. You heard it here first.
Dun dun.
Drum roll.
I'm so excited to see. Oh yeah. I have so many dice.
Oh,
Diesel Shot!
How wonderful!
Nice.
Sweet.
That's very fitting. Diesel Shot coming in with the wonderful raid. Win yourself a new set of dice.
Diesel Shot, I'm gonna hit you up and I'll get your information so we can get these dice to you.
Indeed. And thank you to Metallic Dice Games for being one of our affiliate sponsors. We super appreciate that as well. Okay. Well, thank you all. Thank you, players, for being such fun improv role players. We kind of just spun these tales out of nowhere with very threadbare skeletons to go off of. So thank you for giving them vibrant life and for being such attentive listeners while it was not your scene. And for being such fun NPCs in each other's memories. We now have some really cool and colorful characters that maybe we'll see again. And thank you, chat, of course, as always, for tuning in with us tonight and for giving hero points and villain points and being engaged with these cool backstories. We all hope you guys liked these glimpses into our characters' past selves. So hopefully we'll see how that informs future sessions to come, I suppose.
Be fun.
Yeah, for sure. So to wrap up, Chase, wait, did you have something to say?
Yeah, can I plug a couple things before we wrap up?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Treasure Hunters is ended on Tuesday for those people who followed Treasure Hunters. Season 3 is starting back in July. But until then, starting next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but next Tuesday, we're going to be doing a Black Void campaign. So if you guys want more Tuesday content, should be really fun. It looks like a super cool system. It'll be my
Very cool
first time
setting.
running it. Is it? Have you checked it out?
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, it looks fun. I'm excited. M's going to be playing in that one. I'm going to be running it. We have a couple of other level 1 geeks playing in it as well. And then also random, I'm running a Friday session and there was just a cancellation tonight that's already paid for. So if anybody wants to join our Discord and fill that slot, hit me up on Discord. And we have one spot if you want to play in a Pathfinder 2e game, not streamed, just for funsies, on Friday at 6:00 Mountain Time. So
Cool. And
Yeah.
you are over on Weave the Tale.
Yep, I am over on Weave the Tale on Thursdays. I'm playing, my name's Penny, and that's playing Parslings, which is a really cool card-based system, which I've been really enjoying. And then on Saturday, I am playing with VCG. We are promoting a Kickstarter. I believe it's called Inferno. I'm really excited to give that game a whirl. So yeah, if you follow us on Discord or if you follow me on Twitter, yeah, you can see when I'm going live with that stuff. Oh, yeah.
And I almost forgot, we're streaming on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, I'm GMing. I'm GMing Necropunk at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and it's gonna be pretty cool. It's like the setting is basically the world's population has suddenly like decreased, and so they've had to start taking bodies and like punking them out so that they can do some of the jobs that they don't have people to fill anymore, like sweeping the streets or farming fields and stuff. And it's going to be really cool. It's another card-based system, so I'm excited.
It's so freaking creepy.
It's so cool. That game is coming to Kickstarter in May, so we're going to give you guys a little taste. Spider Queen Long, yes, it is Penny for a Tales game. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah. So tune in on Wednesday if you want to get a preview to see if that Kickstarter is something you want to get in on. That'll be at 7:30 on Wednesday. Okay. Ian, Matt, any cool announcements you would like to plug? It's okay if not.
Not at the moment.
Okay. Cool. You just are continuing to be solid, awesome, fun players. That's your announcement. Okay. If you would like to support our channel, you can, of course, follow or subscribe here. You can also go subscribe on YouTube to catch up on all of our old episodes. We are getting ready to gear up and start getting on a more regular YouTube posting schedule as we continue pumping out content here on Twitch. So keep an eye on that. Go subscribe so you don't miss anything. And then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and all those fun things. We are probably going to be doing another giveaway in celebration of hitting our 250 follower mark. We'll be doing that over on our social media channels. So if you don't already follow us, head over, give us a follow, and maybe you'll win something cool. You can also show your support by purchasing dice and accessories from one of our affiliate partners, and they're all linked down below. Metallic Dice Games being one of those, and they helped us with this giveaway. You can also find links to our Patreon down there if you so desire to become a patron. And you can, of course, join our Discord and hang out with all the cool people here in chat and the cool players here on the stream. If you are already doing one or all of those things, we are super appreciative of you. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world. And we couldn't do this without all of you guys. So thank you. Now, go take a long rest. Avoid mind flayers. Avoid betrayed, the fake friends and mean mothers. Always protect the cinnamon bun little sister, and if a moonlight fox appears, do follow it and give it some scritches behind the ears. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
You're not letting me die.